What's up, y'all? In this video, I want to talk about this new app called Dehancer. They have 3 products I want to talk about, but in this video, I'll mainly be talking about their phone app. The other 2 products I'll be speaking about will be in another video where I can focus primarily on those. Before I get more into the app, I just wanted to say as a disclaimer, Dehancer themselves contacted me about reviewing their app and products. However, I am not required to say anything by Dehancer, and basically free to give you guys my honest opinion. In return, they gave me a free 1-year subscription for the Dehancer app, as well as a lifetime license for the specific products I'll be reviewing for Dehancer. I also do get a percentage of the sales they make when anyone purchases the products using my code WinstonDLee, which will help support my channel and photography. With that code, you'll also be able to get 10% off your purchase as well. If you're interested, please continue watching. So now that I've spoken about that, I'll get more into the Dehancer app. I've been playing around with the app for a little over 2 weeks, and my first impression of it is that it's very, very detailed. I'm by no means an expert of film photography or film cameras at all. But once you actually enter the app, even if you have no knowledge of film whatsoever, you can clearly see the detail Dehancer has put in, and they made it extremely easy to use, which I'll show you next on my iPad. So starting from the very beginning of the process of selecting the app, once you actually enter the app, this is the screen that I will show you. Dehancer makes it very easy to select photos. You can either choose the ones from here, which picked from your most recent pictures, or you can open your entire catalog by choosing the Open Photo and Video option. The photo I want to edit is right here though, so I'm just going to select that. Once you pick the picture you want to edit, you will then be shown this screen, where you can choose from a variety of presets Dehancer has made for us. They're all quite good too. From the few weeks of using the Dehancer app, I already have a couple of favorites I've gravitated towards. A few of those being the Kodak Eastman Double X5222, the Kodak Ultramax 400 plus 2383, and the Polaroid Type 100 Sepia. If you want to favorite your presets so you don't forget which ones your favorites are, you can actually just double tap the preset like this, and this heart will appear. That means that it's added to your favorites. As you can see, if I go to my favorites preset right here, you'll see that it's been added to the list here. As I said before, the presets are pretty good already. So if you like how the presets look on your photos, you can just press the preset like that to apply it to your photo. You can press the share button right here and press save to gallery. And just like that, the photo will be exported into your device's gallery, whether that's your iPad or your iPhone. And again, just like that, the photo will appear right here, and you can, share that photo to Instagram or any of your social media accounts, or you can share it with your friends and family. Whatever you want to do with it, the photo is yours and it's saved on your device. But if you want to dig deeper and further edit your photo, you can then click the edit button right here, and you'll be introduced to all the settings you can play with to further edit your image. To go more in depth about how you can edit your photo in Dehancer and get into the nitty-gritty details, let me just show you how I would edit the photo in Dehancer. Let's see, with this photo, let me just choose the preset that I already had picked out, and let me choose the Cinestill 50D Kodak Enduro right here. So what I would do is I would go to the expand first, and I would play with the black point and white point. Now with this is very similar to any other editing program out there where you can affect the highlights, shadows, black points and white points. This black point and white point is very similar to that, so let me just play along with that. I kind of want to raise that a bit. Let me just, like that, there you go. Like that. So that's my expand, that's all I have to do. With source, again, this is very similar to any other editing program out there. You can change the exposure, temperature, tint to fringe, fix the fringing if your photo has any. Let's see, with this exposure, I kind of want to do that, yeah. Do I want to, I kind of want to warm it up a bit like that. Let me give it a kind of a greenish tint like that. Like that right there. And if you want to check the histogram, you can click on this button right here, and that will show you your histogram and show you, whether you're clipping things or your shadows are too low. But I don't see anything like that. And plus, I like the look of it as it is anyway. So let's see. Let's go to film next. So with film, this is a bit different than presets. So with films, this is you choosing between the different type of film simulations that you can choose from. Cinestill 50D, Cinestill 800T right here. You have all these film simulations that you can pick from. With presets, the reason why presets and film, they're 2 different categories is presets, you have everything. So you have all these settings on the bottom. All those things are already set for you that Dehancer has made, and that that goes into a preset. With film, I'm only changing what the film look is. All these other settings are attached to the preset that I chose. So for example, if I go back to the preset, if I choose you know, Kodak Eastman XX5222, then all these settings right here change. But they stay the same if I want to change the film. So if I want this same kind of settings, but I want a different film look, I can choose Kodak Kodachrome 64. All these stay the same. So that's kind of a cool way to get more in depth with your editing and find this look and the style that you want. But you know, I don't want that, so I'm just gonna go back to what I had originally, which was right here. So with the push and pull right here, this is basically mimicking the push and pull process of film photography. So if you're unfamiliar with the push and pull process, this is the process of which you shoot and develop the film. A faster rate being push and a slower rate being pull. And that's what this setting kind of mimics. You can push and pull the film, and as you can see, if I move it like this right here, or if I move it like this right here, you can see that the exposure can change, the color can change, and the contrast can change. Like if I move it right here, you can see that there's a kind of a turquoise color going in. If I move it right here, you can see that it gets a bit warmer. There are little orange tones coming in. So that's kind of a cool way to further edit your image. And for this one, I actually like the look of a more warmer tone. So I'm gonna actually just move it like right here. So with the next tab, let's go to print. And with print right here, it kind of simulates the printing of your photo. So I can actually put it on different types of prints, and that will change the look of it. So for example, this is right here. The preset that they have is Kodak Endura Glossy Paper. If I put this on, let's say the Fujifilm 3513 print film, it looks totally different, right? And that's because it's a different print. If I put this on the Kodak 2383, again, it looks really different. For me, I liked this print better, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Let me start changing some of these settings. Exposure, just the exposure of the print. Tonal contrast, the contrast. I'm gonna kind of lower the contrast a bit. Put it like right there. Saturation, you know, change the color like that. I liked it the way it was. Color density. Analog range limiter. I kind of like that. But I think I'll leave it. I like having some contrast there, you know, the blacks and then the highlights. So I like that. Cool. So going on to color head. So color head is very similar to color grading in Lightroom if you've ever used that. If I move this right here, you can see how it changes basically the colors, right? I can either have it a bit more yellow or a bit more blue, magenta, green, cyan, red, so on and so forth. With gain right here, I can actually move all of them at once. So move it like this, move it like this. You see how this gets a bit more green, this gets a bit more magenta-ish. So I liked it the way it is, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. With shadows and mid-tones, highlight tone right here, again, similar to color grading. I'm going to I liked how I like how the photo is warm just from the preset, so I'm going to try and kind of keep that warmth and emphasize it a bit. Yeah, it's good enough. Impact is the overall effect, or the impact that this setting or this tab has on the photo. You can increase how much of an effect it has on the photo, and I think I'm gonna have it at like 62-ish right there. Okay, that's cool enough. Let's go to film grain. So with film grain, this is just the type of grain that's in your photo. So like right here, you can see the grain in the photo. That's film grain. So I actually don't think any of this needs any changing. Let me just play around with it and see. Let me see. What if I put it in negative film type? Let's see, it becomes a bit more pronounced. I think I'm pretty cool with positive film type. Okay, let's go to halation. So halation is an effect that appears over the very bright spots of an image that's very near a contrasting or a dark part of the photo. So for example, if I amplify it like this, you can see how there's these like orange color, right? So that's halation right there. So if I lower it, you can see how it kind of, oh, I went too fast on. Let me see. If I increase it, you can see how you can really see the red effect right there. If I lower it, it starts going away. That's halation. Let's see. Do I want halation in this photo though? Yeah, I do. I'm gonna keep it at 33. Or let me just reset. Oh, that's too much. I'm gonna keep it around 23. You can also play around with all these other settings in halation too. And once again, you can look at the guide that Dehancer has put for this app. There are so many details and so many things that you can figure out and kind of play with. I don't wanna go too much into it because the video is gonna get too long. So I'm gonna move on to the next part. So with bloom right here. So bloom right here for me, it's very similar to basically in Lightroom, if you've ever used Lightroom, decreasing the clarity slider and also decreasing the dehaze slider. That's how bloom really seems to me. There's probably a more technical answer and technical definition of bloom, which you can, probably find in someone who's more familiar with film, but that's kind of my way of looking at bloom. So you can see how the highlights, if I increase it right here, it gets really soft, like the image gets super soft. If I go to the left right here, you can see the details start to, show more. And with me, I like this image to be around right here. Like that. Let me see with the highlights. Do I want to decrease the highlights? I'm good. Source limiter. And again, a lot of fun with this Dehancer app is just playing around with the settings and seeing what you like, what you don't like. You can get really technical with what each setting does, but I mean, you still have to play around and still have to see what settings you like to change and what you don't like to change and so on and so forth for yourself. So I encourage you, if you have time, to download the Dehancer app for yourself and really get into the nitty-gritty details of it and kind of play around with it and see what you like and what you don't like. With the difference between the subscription app and then the free version, I believe the only difference is with the paid version, you can basically just use the app to your heart's content. You can export as many photos as you want. I believe with the free version, before you start paying for the subscription, you can only export a certain amount of photos. I believe it's 10 or so. Don't quote me on that. I'm not too sure, honestly. But yeah, you're still able to use the app. You're still able to play around with the settings and have fun with it. And I encourage you to do that if you have time. Anyways, with this vignettes and vignette. If you're not familiar with the vignette, it's basically the edges. If you look at the edges right here, you can see it get darker if I have more of a vignette. And if I don't have a vignette, or if I have a positive vignette, a brighter vignette, you see the corners start to get more brighter. So for me, I think I'm okay with the vignette. I don't really need it in this photo, I think. Let me see. If you want to also turn off a slider, maybe you don't even want to have that or have a setting affect the photo, you can actually just tap on it. So if I look at vignette right here and I tap vignette, that blue dot's gone, which means that the effect is no longer there. But I want that vignette a little bit, so I'm gonna leave that there. And finally with film damage, let's go to film damage. You can see that there's dust, hairs, scratches. So this is basically just these kind of little imperfections in the picture that you can basically change and add. So if I wanna add more dust, you can see how I start to get a bit more of these dots right here. Same thing with these hairs, same thing with the scratches. And that gives it much more of that film type of vibe, right? Like you're actually taking that photo and there's these imperfections that, we all like in our film photos. So I think I'm just gonna do something like that. See what if I take the scratches out. No, hairs. Cool, that's cool, I like that. So I can export that, save to gallery. And with that, I have the photo, it's mine. I can share it to my friends, my family, share it to social media, and I'm good. So next, I will be going over a video that I'll be editing. I won't, go through this entire process again because you've already seen it, so I'm just gonna fast forward it. But again, that's a really cool thing about this Dehancer app, is that you can edit videos as well, and then you can share it, again, like this photo, you can share it with your family, your friends, over social media, and that gives more of a type of uniqueness to the video that you wouldn't have if you just, posted the video on IG or anything like that, right? Anyways, let's go over this video. Now that you've seen the app in action with the editing I did with my picture and video, like with the positives and the things I liked about the app that I spoke about in this video, I also want to touch about the things that I think Dehancer could improve on, or things that I wish were a function in the app. Starting with the importing differences between bigger and smaller files. So this isn't a huge problem, but I did want to bring attention to it. So it states in the quick guide that you can find in the Dehancer app that due to hardware limitations of mobile devices, images larger than your maximum iPhone or iPad camera JPEG will be resized on loading and also exported at a reduced size. Now, I haven't tested out editing my camera photos on this app as I've only done images taken on my phone, but it's a bit of a shame you won't be able to use your camera images and edit it with the app and still export with the same quality you had with the raw file. I believe with Lightroom and their app, the quality stays intact, so I'm not sure why it's not the same with the Dehancer app, but there must be a reason why within the tech side, and since I'm not too fond of all that, I can't say for sure. But it's a bummer nonetheless. With photos taken with your phone though, they're flawless when they're exported, so there's that. The second point I wanted to bring up is the choppiness of videos when you edit them. So you might have noticed when I was editing the video, there were some points where I had played back the video and the video was pretty choppy. You can see how with all the edits on the video just has that jitter to it. And when editing, that can be extremely annoying to deal with, especially if you want to see how it looks in real time. I don't want to be exporting the video and playing it back just to monitor the changes I do to it, to then have to go back into the app and make the changes and export it again. It just takes too long. So I hope Dehancer can fix this in a future update. The third point is saving your progress when editing. So let's say I'm editing a picture. Usually for me, I'd edit a photo and wait on it for like a day or so I can see how the edit looks like the next day. From there, I almost always make changes just because I'm able to see the photo with a fresh pair of eyes. And there might be some things like the saturation I don't like, or maybe it's too contrasty, or maybe the color grading is off. With Dehancer, it doesn't save your progress on photos. So if I want to work on another photo or video while I wait, I'd basically have to delete my progress of the current photo I'm working on. The only way I'd be able to save that is to make an entirely new preset for that photo, then remember to apply that onto the photo when I get back to it. If I start doing that though, then it just starts becoming a headache of which preset is actually a preset I want to use, and which preset is just a temporary preset for that certain photo. This last point isn't really an improvement, more so it's a feature I'd be super happy about. So hear me out. We all know the popularity of Fujifilm and Ricoh for their recipes, basically setting a certain type of recipe simulation that's applied to your JPEGs in camera. I think it'd be super cool if Dehancer had that type of ability within their app. So not only could you edit your photos like how we can do right now, but then in another portion of the app, you can just go around taking photos with the built-in presets and having those applied to the photos taken with your phone, just like recipes with Fujifilm and Ricoh. Again, I don't know the logistics or how that even work with Apple and such, but I thought it'd be a really cool thing to be able to do within the Dehancer app itself. Well, this video is probably super long, even though I didn't want it to be super long. So before I start rambling on any longer, I'll just end it right here. I hope you enjoyed this review and walkthrough of the Dehancer app. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, playing around with all the settings and editing some of my older stuff taken with my phone, and I'll continue playing with it. As I mentioned before, the ability to quickly edit and add these film simulations onto my videos and pictures for social media use is very fun to make them a bit more unique. And again, just as a disclaimer to remind everyone, Dehancer themselves again contacted me about this app. I'm not required to say anything by Dehancer, and this is my honest opinion. Again, in return, they did give me a free 1-year subscription for the app, as well as, a lifetime license for all the other products I'll be reviewing, which will be the Dehancer Pro and the Dehancer for Lightroom. Again, as mentioned before, I do also get a percentage of the sales they make when anyone purchases the products using my code WinstonDLee. And with that same code, you'll be able to get 10% off your purchase. So if you're interested in Dehancer, feel free to use the code to help support my channel and my photography. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Later.